All right, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and call us to order for study session. And first on the agenda, Keith with DR 2141, or excuse me, DR 2241, Ocotillo Surgery Center, Phase 2.
There we go. Chair Simon, members of the commission, good evening. My only study session project tonight before you is for the Ocotillo Surgery Center Phase 2 project. The project is located north of the northwest corner of Germain and Rome Street. It's actually, I don't know, you can see the site highlighted on the screen in front of you there, highlighted in red. The site actually has an existing building on it that was approved as Ocotillo Surgery Center Phase 1 about 3 years ago or so. So this is the project site it's the subject of this application is actually that dirt pad just to the south of it. But I'll go into a little more detail in just a second on what they're proposing. So tonight, as far as requested input is concerned, since it is a study session, town staff is requesting or asking for you to allow us to move forward with, approve the design review to move forward with an administrative review of the proposed design review case. So the proposed site plan that the applicant has submitted to us, as I stated a few minutes ago, Ocotillo Surgery Center Phase 1, when they came in about 3 years ago for approval, was for an existing building that was a little over 8,000 square feet, and you can see it there on your site plan in front of you. And that's the building that's to the north of that black spot, that black area. The existing parking during Phase 1, all the parking on the site, 101 parking spaces, was all and all the drive entrances off of Rome Street, the 2 drive entrances, and a connection access way or drive aisle, if you will, to the project to the south, which is an auto repair shop, were all previously constructed with the construction of Phase 1. So the only thing left over to construct on the site is an addition of a 6,941 square foot building that will be attached to the existing building in that black square to the south of that existing building. So that is the only thing that is left to be constructed, and a few sidewalks around it and some landscaping around the foundation of the building. So that is what is comprised of Phase 2. So speaking of that landscaping, here's the landscape plan. There is 35.3% landscaping on the site now. Excuse me. All of it has been constructed, or not constructed, but I guess planted, if you will. The only thing left is foundation landscaping, which this plan does not show the foundation landscaping. We have asked the applicant in our first review comments to add that foundation landscaping along the east side of the building and along the south side of the building. So for the elevations, these are the approved Phase 1 elevations. This is that 8,200 square foot building. So the materials are primarily block and some stucco and some metal awnings and canopies, and then some glass windows and things along on the elevations, and some earth tone colors with a little bit of a peachish and some yellowish block type colors. So this was approved with Phase 1. And that's west elevation, not the west elevation. I don't know if I put the south elevation on here, but the south elevation today is where the new addition is going to come off of. So here's proposed Phase 2 elevations. So you can see the elevation, the top one, you can see on the plan where it says new/existing. So you can see to the left is the new portion of the building, and of course the existing is to the right. So you can see especially the top 2 elevations, you'll be able to really see what's existing and what is proposed. So the building matches the materials, the colors, the design of the existing building pretty much to the perfectly. The building is a little over 23 feet tall to the top of the parapet, and about 15 feet to the roof line. In a conversation I have had with the applicant right before the meeting, they're planning on moving that roof line up a little bit, kind of making it a little higher, and that would mean that the parapet would only be about 6 foot high from the roof line to the top of the parapet. So that's something that they're going to modify with their next submittal. Colors and materials, as I said, a lot of it's like a peachish, tannish color, and tans and grays. And materials are CMU primarily, and a little bit of stucco on and some metal paneling on the building, which matches the existing design. So as far as oh, and here's the site plan again. I was just going to show you again before I go to the next slide. So basically, the input that we are requesting tonight is to ask for you to allow staff to move forward with the design review to be able to approve it administratively instead of it having to come back to you. There is a provision in our LDC that allows for that if it meets town code requirements and all LDC requirements, and if the project is minor in nature with not a lot of complexities, it's there's the ability for you as a planning commission to allow staff to move forward with administrative design review. And in this situation, since it's phase 2 and it's a fairly minor building addition and kind of a master site plan, we feel that that is appropriate. So we would like your input on that. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm open for questions if you have any.
All right, thanks, Keith. Anybody have any questions for Keith? No questions. All right. Keith, I would say this looks like like you said, a very minor addition. They're matching the scheme and color, the materials. There's no easements or setbacks that we're looking at. So I would say at this point, you move forward administratively with approval on it. Do we need a motion to approve that, or are we good? All right. Thank you, Keith.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, next on the agenda is DR 22-07, Ace Hardware at the post at Cooley Station. And Noah, you're first. Everybody's supposed to ask Noah very hard questions tonight.
It's not a particularly complex case that may warrant many questions. So we'll get started. So this is a proposal for a 12,500 square foot expansion to an existing shopping center in the Cooley Station area. It's an Ace Hardware that's proposed. Oh, there's a clicker, isn't there? There we go. So it's a proposal to complete the final pad site on the eastern end of this shopping center, the post at Cooley Station, which is at the corner of Williamsfield and Wrecker Roads. It is next to the Fry's Marketplace and a series of inline shops there. This is a little bit more clear and can give you a view of the site context. This was approved in early 2019. You have a very large shopping center, the Fry's there, the inline stores, and then this one, which is relatively close to the residential areas to the east and to the south of this complex. So it's about a 2-acre site with all of the site improvements that are being done on the side and rear of the structure as well. It's zoned general commercial. It is also in the general commercial category of the general plan. And then there's a preview of the elevation, the front elevation for this site, but I'll walk through those a little bit more and talk about the compatibility of this pad site with the rest of the shopping center. So just to put it in your minds early in the presentation, we are looking to convert this from a DR case, less than 5 acres, to administrative design review. As Keith mentioned, there's a provision in the code that if it meets town code and it meets the standards put forth by the planning department, that it can be brought forward for administrative design review if it is in a master site plan and it is a project that is small enough to be reviewed administratively. So here's just one more look at the site plan here, overlaid on the original site plan for this project, the post at Cooley Station. It's meant to be a mini anchor site. Here's a little bit of a zoomed in view to see where that is being proposed. So the primary proposal here outside of the store is to provide the rear improvements, so a loading dock, some parking spaces, finishing the pavement markings and some of the improvements on the rear side of the building. There are no changes being made to the parking in front of this site. That parking was provided in 2019 with 83 spaces that were explicitly laid out for this future mini anchor site, and 56 are required for what it's worth for the building size. Landscaping, they're adding a small cap of landscaping at the end of this shopping center that's compliant with the original master site plan that was submitted. You can see some specifics about the types of landscaping there. All of that is compliant with the master site plan and the allowed landscaping in the posted Cooley Station. Drainage is largely relying on the large underground retention basins, and then there's just some moderate work being done in the rear of the building to handle building runoff. There are some minor revisions being required by planning and fire in a final round of reviews, but they're quite minor. Where I'm going to spend the most time with this proposal is on the elevations. The elevations are something that we went back and forth with the applicant quite a bit on in a first and second review to ensure that it had compatibility and it really matched the rest of the shopping center. So you'll see that it is using a kind of a brick base, a block finish on the upper portion of the building, kind of some rail accents and metal roofing. And you can see then there's some detail being done with the garden center on the left side of the building there, the outdoor section of the building. Here's the side elevation here that faces away from the public parking lot. The garden center continues. There's some service doors and then a continuation of the roofline screening around the corner of the building, and then that landscaping that I showed you will be in front of this elevation. What I wanted to show you here was the amount of work that planning has done already on this project. It has gone through 2 rounds of design review. The top elevation that you see here was the first version of that submittal, and you could see it was very plain. There were quite a few breaches of our commercial design standards, roofline articulation, wall articulation, the use of materials from the front of the building, and they've done a pretty good job of addressing those concerns with the current live submittal, the second version of this DR case. And so you can see they broke up that roof line, incorporated those front materials of brick that you found on the lower portion of the front of the site. Planning believes that that's sufficient. It meets our concerns. Just to show you how it may match with the remainder of the master site plan, here's the existing Fry's Marketplace. Here's another detail image showing you the columns that we asked them to continue onto their building. They have continued those. It's the exact same design of column that you see here, and then also on the inline shops here as well. And then it's the same roofing material. It's the same brick material. This was already designed to incorporate materials that you'll find throughout Cooley Station into the shopping center. And so this is, we believe, continuing the use of those materials. Floor plan, very simple. Sales, a garden center that you'll see on the right side of this here with the parking area on the top side of the screen there. A fairly simple structure. And then lighting, we believe that it has sufficient screening from residential uses. All of the values along the residential neighborhoods there are 0.1 or 0. It's a little bit misleading on the side here because it's slightly cut off from the edge, but there's no light leakage into the surrounding residential neighborhoods. So in short, we request any input that you may have on the topics of elevation design, the material compatibility with the rest of the shopping center, and then the site landscaping and lighting design. However, we then want to bring forward the request to convert this from a DR case, the less than 5 acres, to an administrative design review so that the planning department can approve this case administratively. And thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Noah. Anybody have any questions or comments for Noah? Yeah, Commissioner Anderson.
So just for my clarification, can I use your...
I also need this to be... Uh-oh. This one right here? Right. So the original site, and I'll actually go back to a site plan here of the whole site. So the original site is 20 acres. The whole shopping center is about 20.5 acres. There's a separate parcel that this is a part of, and perhaps I could have shown that better in the with this here, showing that this parcel here is one smaller portion. It's less than 5 acres, and then the building itself. Again, it's less than 5 acres, and it's in the master site plan area, so it's a smaller site. On the rear elevations, on the front. No, that was just a rendering and then a front elevation. So those are showing the same design. One being in just a 3D rendering to make it easier for you to see some of the design elements, and it's easier then to compare to some of the real-time images from the site that I included in some of the later slides. Right. And so I will pull up this here. So the material and including the description of each of the materials does match this site. So you'll see on the top here. I'm going to go back. My apologies. So it is a little bit misleading given the color, that greenish color that's on that elevation there. But for example, that metal paneling there, that matches what you'll find on the tops of these structures here, on some of the canopies here. And then the greenish that you see, for example, on the right side of that elevation is actually related to the branding for the pet planet that is on the inline shops. And I'm sorry I'm going through so many slides here. Oh, well, not exactly. It's I think that's a bit misleading because that wall that's being shown green belongs to the inline shops adjacent to this site.
All right. Anybody else? Is there any objection to moving this to administrative review? All right, Noah, I'm good with it. I think we should go ahead and give you authority to move to administrative review, provided they provide you what you need.
Great. Thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, with that, we'll move to discussion of the regular meeting agenda. Do we have any members of the community here that would like to discuss or hear out? I guess I'll start at the top. We've got the Bell Bank and Mercy Center on the consent. I'm assuming that'll stay there. And then on the non-consent items, we have Christ Greenfield Lutheran Church, Potillo's Hot Dogs, De Cesare Design, and then we've got Valor Christian Center, which will be continued to date uncertain. Does anybody have any objection to moving any of those items or all of those items to the consent agenda?
Yes.
Ashley, if I may ask you, I wasn't at Monday's meeting. Were we moving De Cesare? Yes, if we could keep De Cesare off of consent, the applicant wishes to present.
Okay. All right, with that, any other items wish to be held on to non-consent? Okay, so when we come back, we will go ahead and approve our agenda as discussed. So we'll go ahead and adjourn until 6 o'clock.
Test 1 2 test. Yeah, test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Testing 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get ready to get started. Or we're going to get started. One of the two. We'll get ready, and we'll get started. Ready? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, so we will... All right, and Ava, can I have a roll call, please?
Alternate Johns? Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Fay?
Here.
Commissioner Blazer?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson?
He is here.
He is present.
He is
He
present.
has
I think
just
he's on a
stepped
phone
out.
call, yeah.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Here.
Vice Chairman Munt?
Here.
Chairman Simon?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, with that, I'll go ahead and accept the agenda, and we're actually looking to move items to the consent agenda. So, Vice Chair, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as we discussed?
As a matter of fact, you can, sir. I'd like to make a motion to add item number 8, DR 22-11, Christ Greenfield Lutheran Church, as well as item number 9, DR 21-153, Portillo's Hot Dogs, and the items 12 and 13 for respectively GP 21-07 Valor Christian Center and Z 21-09 Valor Christian Center, both onto the consent as they are being continued to a date uncertain. So that's the motion.
All right. And in addition to that, already on consent, we've got DR 21-142 Bell Bank Mercy Center. I've got a motion to approve the agenda as read. Do I have a second?
Oh,
Go ahead, you were fast.
All right. I've got a second by Commissioner Bianchi. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. With that, we will move on to communications. Communications from citizens. At this time, members of the public may comment on matters within the jurisdiction of the town, but not on the agenda. The commission response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter commented upon, or asking that a matter be put on a future agenda. Do we have any communications from citizen?
Not received any.
All right, thank you. Not seeing any. We will move on to our report from Council Liaison, and Councilman September could not be with us tonight, and I don't have anything to report from him. So we will move on.
Chairman, I just wanted to point out that Commissioner Anderson was in for that last vote, so just to make sure to at least put that on the record. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to our public hearing. All items listed below are considered, public hearing consent. All items listed below are considered the public hearing consent calendar. The commission may, by a single motion, approve any number of items where, after opening the public hearing, no person requests the item be removed from the consent calendar. If such a request is made, the commission shall then withdraw the item from the public hearing consent calendar for the purpose of public discussion and separate action. Other items on the agenda may be added to the consent calendar and approved under a single motion. Items on the consent agenda are DR 21-142 Bell Bank at Mercy Center, DR 22-11 Christ Greenfield Lutheran Church, number 9, DR 21-153 Portillo's Hot Dogs, item 12, GP 21-07 Valor Christian Center, as well as number 13, Z 21-09 Valor Christian Center, both to be continued to a date uncertain. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda, to approve the consent as read.
Thank you. Do I have a motion by the Vice Chair? Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion as read.
I have a second by Commissioner Fay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. With that, we will move on to the public hearing non-consent items. Non-consent public hearing items will be heard at an individual public hearing and will be acted upon by the commission by a separate motion. During the public hearings, anyone wishing to comment in support or in opposition of a public hearing item may do so. If you wish to comment on a public hearing item, you must fill out a public comment form indicating the item number on which you wish to be heard. Once the hearing is closed, there will be no further public comment unless requested by a member of the commission. All right, and with that, we will move to our one item on the non-consent. We've got item number 10 and number 11, GP 22-01, De Cesare Design, and number 11, Z 22-01, De Cesare Design. Do we need to vote on these separately once we hear them? Okay. Josh, we'll start with you.
Chairman, I'll recuse myself from this discussion as well, if it's
Okay.
with you.
Commissioner Jones will recuse himself from the vote on this.
All right. Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. GP 21 or 2201 and Z 2201 De Cesare Design is a proposed rezone and minor general plan amendment located at the southeast corner of Greenfield and Houston Roads. It is the site of the formerly Spirit of Joy Church, which is no longer, the structure itself is no longer in use as a church, and the applicant is looking to rezone the site, which is currently single family 43 to neighborhood office for conventional zoning. The purpose behind this rezone, the applicant is looking to use that existing building in its entirety as a design studio for her own personal business. Overall, as I said, this is a conventional rezone. There's no deviations requested. There's no changes to the site plan, elevations. Everything is staying exactly the same. They are just hoping to reuse the existing unused building for another purpose. As you can see on the screen, these are the original plans that were approved back in 2007 when this was originally approved and annexed in from the county. As I mentioned, nothing is changing. There were some concerns brought up by neighbors during the neighborhood meeting at the early stages of this rezone, just regarding what potentials could go into this facility with the change to the neighborhood office zoning district. But with the neighbors that I've talked to, this is one of our least intense zoning districts. It's neighborhood office. It is designed and meant to facilitate businesses that can live and be next to the existing residential neighborhood. It's supposed to be a very complementary zoning district to at the neighborhood scale. So with that in mind, staff, we recommend approval of GP 2201 and Z 2201. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. And may the 4th be with you all.
Josh, I have to ask, is this the reason you wanted to present this tonight?
Exactly why.
All right, at this time, does anybody have any questions for Josh? All right, I understand that we have a representative of the applicant here to present. Ms. Baugh? And we'll give you 3 minutes. And Noah's counting.
Hi, my name is it on? So is it on? Okay, sorry. Hi, my name is Emma Baugh. I'm speaking on behalf of Whitney Morris, representing the De Cesare Design Group. Clicker. Sorry. Okay, thank you. So De Cesare is a full-service interior design firm specializing in luxury residential and hospitality projects. Since 2008, they've been located in Mesa, and they primarily consist of, and they've done projects nationwide. It primarily consists of designing within their office building and implementing these designs into buildings and other places. They have like 15 employees, and so the subject site is approximately 2.4 acres over on Greenfield Road. There was a church formerly operating on this site and has since moved since quarantine. And so it's currently zoned as a single family 43, and we propose to rezone it to a neighborhood office. We propose amending the general plan from a less than 1 home per acre to a neighborhood office. We'd like to reuse the vacant church site, pretty much keeping the same building, interior improvements only. We'll change the paint color on the exterior, but other than that, it's essentially the same building. We'd like to expand a local design business. There will be some pretty low traffic. Once again, there's roughly 15 employees, some of which work remotely, and it primarily consists of interacting with clients over the phone. So there's going to be some pretty low traffic use, and it's a pretty appropriate use for adjacent to this residential neighborhood. It complies with the general plan. We like to promote our neighborhoods and promoting the quality and character of existing residential neighborhoods. We encourage a balanced land use framework, maintaining the town's land use framework that supports a highly livable community. And we encourage job growth by providing employment opportunities in the area. So that's the current exterior of the church. Once again, the pretty much only thing we're changing is the paint color as seen on the right. All in all, it's gonna be pretty lit. Just kidding, my dad told me to say that, but we just like to add that we had some one-on-one neighborhood meetings and also a large neighborhood meeting group in the church, and everyone there is supportive and on board with the plan to improve the community and support a local business. And that's all.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Ball? No questions? All right, with no questions.
I actually have one question.
Oh, Commissioner Munn.
Ms. Ball, I have a question for you on this. So, Ms. Ball, in the original study session presentation of this, which your father did, there was a bunch of happy-go-lucky characters of individuals playing and dancing on bicycles in the front. I was wondering if you could inform me of their whereabouts.
Have to disclose that information?
No. Job well done. Thank you.
All right, with that, I will bring it back up to the dais for conversation or a motion, if there is one.
Well, Chairman, without any other kinds of conversation, I would like to put a motion on the table to approve item number 10, GP 22-01, the Cesare design.
All right, I have a motion to approve by the Vice Chair. Do I have a second?
Chairman,
Yes.
did you open this to the public?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not. We will open the to the public. Any comments? I have no comment cards, but I don't know if there's any public. All right, no public, so we'll close this. We'll bring it up to the dais. I have an existing motion by the Vice Chair.
Well, since we just went from public, I'll make the motion again. I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 10, GP 22-01, the Cesare design.
All right, so I now have a motion by the Vice Chair.
With conditions, please.
With the GP?
I'm sorry. Are we good?
Were there conditions?
Okay, so we've got a motion to approve with conditions on the... I'm lost. Sorry. On the GP. Yeah, 2201. Sorry. So I have a motion to approve by the Vice Chair. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Commissioner Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so can I get a motion on Z2201 de Cesare design on the zoning?
Sure, Chairman, I'll continue butchering this. Number 11, Z22-01 de Cesare design. I'd like to make a motion to approve with conditions, please.
All right, I have a motion to approve with conditions by the Vice Chair. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Commissioner Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And Ms. Ball, you need to charge a much higher retainer of your father next time. Good job. With that, we move on to our administrative items. Administrative items are the commission discussion and action. It is to the discretion of the majority of the commission regarding public input requests on any administrative item. Persons wishing to speak on an administrative item should complete a public comment form indicating the item number on which you wish to address. The commission may or may not accept a public comment. And do we have any public comment at this time? All right, not seeing any. Move on. We have the Planning Commission meetings. Consider approval of minutes of the study session and regular meeting for April 6th.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'd move to approve as presented.
I've got a motion to approve by Commissioner Bianchi. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, not hearing any. The motion carries. Communications. We have no executive session that I'm aware of. Report from the chairman or members of the commission. Anybody have anything to report? All right. And then planning service manager, Eva.
Thank you, Chair. I know last month was Volunteer Appreciation Month, but I was not able to thank our volunteers, so I just want to acknowledge the ladies that help us every planning commission evening and thank them for all their help. That was all for this evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and we appreciate them as well. So with that, unless there's any other items for discussion, I will adjourn the meeting. All right, we're adjourned. We'll see you in June. Most of us.